He won. He's been a fabulous constable. We knew he was going to be. We're just so happy to have him, and we're really lucky to have him. We're blessed to have him. He's the kind of civil servant that we are looking for, trying to encourage to take to run for office. And it's just so gratifying when we find somebody of his caliber, with his values, and we're able to help him get elected. So I want y'all to help you welcome Constable Gable.
Hi, good evening. Thank you all for being here. Usually it's a packed house, so anyway, tonight I've got a presentation. I'll take some questions afterwards if you have any for me, but one of the biggest things that I get asked in doing this job is basically what's a constable's office do, and what do we do out there for our community and things like that. So I put together a presentation to kind of give you the history of a constable here in the state of Texas, give you some information about a constable's office, and then tell you what we've been doing since I've been in office for our precinct in Montgomery County. So we'll go ahead and get started here. Again, I'm Ryan Gable. I'm the Montgomery County Constable for Precinct 3. You're sitting in the middle of my precinct, so that's pretty exciting. If you see these cars here, these are my troops, and what our cars look like. There's 30 of us from me down, commissioned peace officers. And what I'm going to show you during the presentation, when you think about 30 of us, you're going to see what 30 people can really do for a community. So it's very impressive. I'm very proud of the department and the personnel there. The history of the Texas Constable, the Constitution of 1876, Article 6 and Section 18 calls for an election of a constable for each precinct in the county. Texas constables and their deputies are fully empowered peace officers. Something different about a constable and a deputy than a lot of other law enforcement around the state is that constables are state peace officers. So our jurisdiction, even though we're broken down into precincts of a county, we have jurisdiction across the state. Constables and their deputies can serve civil process within their precinct, county, or contiguous counties. We can serve arrest warrants anywhere in the state of Texas. We're empowered by the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, who are peace officers. We're listed and designated as law enforcement officers there. The Texas Local Government Code gives us our general powers and duties of constables. That's our legislative responsibilities to what we do as far as what kind of office I hold. And basically, constables began handling court process, whether it be civil process or warrants issued by courts of the county and state. They've evolved into full law enforcement agencies. So we'll talk about these duties and responsibilities here. Legislature says we must attend each justice court held. So in my precinct, Judge Edie Conley, she's our JP. I've got a bailiff that we assign to report for all of our court functions. We've got a responsibility by law to attend each court. We're going to serve the civil process in our precinct. We're going to serve warrants statewide. We've got a couple of contracts around the precinct, and if you see some of these signs, we've got Rayford Road Mud, which is the Imperial Oaks area, Rayford Road area. We've got the Spring Trails in the Riley-Fogle area, which falls in a couple of our contracts, patrol contracts. So we've got officers assigned to those areas as well as the precinct. This is about my 22nd year in law enforcement, 20 of those years in Harris County with the Constable's Office, the largest constable's office in the U.S. It basically is where I gained my experience. I've been up here since August 3rd of 2012, so just about a year and a half now, and I love what I do for you all. Chief Matt Rodriguez, he's my second in command and oversees all operations of our department. Lieutenant Mike Atkins, he's going to be our lieutenant over the department, and he's going to command the patrol division and oversees all special investigations. The things that we do, like I said, we serve all civil process in Montgomery County. Let's talk about civil process and writs in Montgomery County. We serve about 12,000 different types of civil process and writs combined together a year, annually. And that could be somebody suing one another, all the way to somebody, a landlord evicting a tenant. So we'll go out and enforce an eviction, remove people from their homes, all the way to go out and seizing one's property if they owe money to somebody. So there's a lot we do in civil process as constables that a lot of people don't realize we do. We bailiff the court. We conduct district patrol services, so if a call drops, a burglary call, or somebody breaks into somebody's car, or somebody needs our help and it comes across the radio, we're going to respond to that call if it's within our precinct. We conduct contract patrol services, like I spoke about earlier. We have a few contracts that we patrol. We have a motorist assistance program. I've got 2 people assigned to running the major thoroughfares here in the precinct. And they run I-45 Woodlands Parkway, 1488, Rayford Road is what they're out looking for. They're in trucks. They'll fix your flat tires. They'll give gas if you need gas. They'll open a car door if you lock your keys in the car at the mall, things like that. So we offer that program. We serve warrants issued through the Justice of the Peace. We conduct alcohol compliance checks. This is one of the things I'm very proud of to say. Since I've been in office, we've hit just about every single convenience store in our precinct about 3 different times so far that has anything to do with selling alcohol. And we've made numerous arrests. So we're making these stores out here compliant with the laws and how important it is to not sell alcohol to our minors. We conduct investigations involving online child pornography, which I'll get more in depth here in just a few minutes on that. Some of the other things constables also do around the state: handle the mental health warrants for counties, environmental law enforcement, accident reconstruction. 2 of my troops in my office are both reconstructionists. They have the expertise and the training, just like any DPS trained trooper out here running the streets to work any sort of fatality accident, which is a lot of training, and it's something to be proud of because it's very difficult to reach that level of accident investigation. Canine operations, Lake Patrol, Constable Don Chumley up north handles all of Lake Conroe. Parking enforcement programs. Emissions enforcement. Some of the things we started in Harris County that we're looking into up here in Montgomery County now is one of the big things to do with emission enforcement is we have tapped into a multi-million-dollar, whether it be the selling of drugs, guns, trafficking, prostitution, anything like that, relating back to emissions enforcement by people selling fraudulent inspection stickers. Okay, so if there are people, they'll go out and pay cash for an inspection sticker to get the car inspected. That cash is put into criminal activity. We go out, we investigate those things and put people in jail, and it's something that is rampant right now. Narcotic investigations, SWAT teams. In Dallas County, the SWAT team was taken away from the sheriff's office and given to a constable's office. So there are constables departments that have SWAT teams out there. Train RAD and RAD Kids, which is a rape aggression defense class to women. So constables do that as well. Some of the people we team up with just about daily are other local law enforcement, so we work hand in hand with Sheriff's Department, Shenandoah, Oak Ridge out here. We work with other state law enforcement agencies. We work hand in hand with the U.S. Marshal's Office, the DEA, FBI, ICAC, which we work with just about every day, and I'll explain that to you in just a minute. One of the things that you may not know is right now there's about 775 sworn constables in the state of Texas. We employ thousands of deputies. And the first peace officer killed in the line of duty in Montgomery County was Constable T.J. Bayette. And he was shot in 1931 while arresting 2 wanted persons along with the Justice of the Peace. First peace officer ever appointed in Texas was a constable, so we're proud of that. Let's talk about statistics from our department. The statistics, I took office August 3rd of 2012 through current November 30th. We've had 43,974 documented deputy actions, and let me explain that to you. I expect when my deputies go out and they're driving around your neighborhood or your area and they stop by a school, or they drive through a school, or they go check a building in a neighborhood, or stop by a house, they're going to indicate that on their daily activity, and that's going to fall into this number here. So we're busy when we talk about proactive policing, when we're going out and checking schools, checking shopping centers, doing things like that. That's an expectation that I have of them, and they're fulfilling that. Calls for service, like I said earlier, where if there's a call, dispatch drops a call for a burglary or a theft call or an assault call, family violence, suicide, whatever it may be, we've answered 6,169 calls for service in that time period. We've made 803 arrests. We've issued 6,429 citations. We've issued 7,212 warnings, totaling 13,641 traffic offenses. The reports we've taken, 1,656 reports we've taken. We've worked 388 accidents. We've made 132 narcotics arrests, and we've recovered 25 firearms. All that in a little over a year. So, crimes against children. One of the things that I brought up here to Montgomery County with me is an investigative unit to go after people that are trafficking child pornography, that are assaulting our children, that are going after our children on social media sites, anything relating technology with endangering children. So I'll go over some statistics with you here. This is something that I'm passionate about. It's something that I had the opportunity to start in Harris County and bring up here to Montgomery County. Since doing that, just about every single law enforcement agency has gotten involved in doing these types of investigations. So it's been a big benefit to Montgomery County. Since being in office, we've handled 176 investigations. We've executed 74 search warrants. And let me explain this to you. When we get either a complaint or we identify somebody that we believe is trafficking child pornography, sharing child pornography, or maintaining it, we're going to draw up a search warrant based on the evidence that's brought to us, what we've been able to obtain, and we're going to go out and we're going to go into these people's homes and we're going to search their homes. We're going to take all their technology. We're going to take their computers, everything that they can communicate with, and we have the ability and the training to forensically go through these things and determine if there's child pornography, whether at the scene or bring it back to the department and do that. Since doing that, we've charged 71 second-degree felonies. We filed those charges. We filed 67 third-degree felony charges, 5 state jail felony charges, and we've handed down 160 years of jail time. Not us personally, but because of the charges we filed, we've been able to receive about 160 years for the people we put in jail. So that's something we're very proud of. With that said, how do I turn this off, John? Y'all can hear me okay?
Sure.
Okay. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but this is something we put together here recently, and some of the things that we do right here, and as a result of these crimes against children, we were able to, coming up into office, we were able to become part of ICAC, which is the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. It's something that is across the U.S. There's 67, I believe, task forces specific to ICAC, and it's what that offers us as a local agency participating and being a member of ICAC are the resources of the FBI, are the resources of the U.S. Marshal's Office, Customs, DEA. We make one call and they're going to be with us when we go execute a search warrant tomorrow morning if that's what we needed to do. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you some pin drops here. I don't know if you can see this. These are search warrants that we've executed, okay? Is what we get is when we receive certain evidence, whether it be called into the office or somebody, a mother or father sees somebody doing it, or a teacher sees somebody, or a co-worker sees somebody looking at child porn or something suspicious, we gather the information, and ultimately, if we have enough information, we put together a search warrant, and you can see all over Montgomery County where we've executed search warrants relating to crimes against children. To show you the arrests we've made out of a result of just crimes against children, pretty substantial around Montgomery County. Okay, let's talk about children recovered. This is important because through these investigations, the things that we look for when you talk about people that house child pornography or are videoing their own children or neighbors' children, assaulting, sexually being assaulted, things of that nature. If you have hundreds and thousands of those images or millions, how do we go through those things to determine whether these people's children are safe in their own home or neighbor children aren't being assaulted? You know, there are serial numbers placed on these images that we're able to identify a large group of them very quickly. However, we have to be real thorough in our investigation to look at pictures and determine if a bathroom matches the house that we just executed a search warrant in. And if that's the case, then okay, now we've got an angle of investigation that maybe our child that lives in this house is being assaulted. So these are the things that we've come across, and the children that are rescued, not only in that aspect, but through different investigations we've had where we've had complaints that children were about to be kidnapped, things like that we get involved through email, people trying to pay people to do certain things. So if I go over these things, it'll give you a little synopsis. Here out in Montgomery, the suspect arrested confessed to contemplating acting out and sexually assaulting a child. Let's see. Right here, we arrested a suspect with possible victims spanning over 5 different states. Our arrest prevented a planned kidnapping and a sexual assault 2 days before it happened. Let's go over here. This is the New Caney area. This is a detail we put together with Constable Hayden's office. And is what we do is, not only do we go after these things in a reactive manner, but we do it in a proactive manner. So we're always online. We pose as juveniles. We pose as young girls. We pose as young males. And I was telling Luke earlier, if I were to put a 13-year-old little girl on Backpage or Craigslist, in less than 5 minutes I'm going to have hits from somebody wanting some sort of sexual activity with this child. Okay? So here we posted online that we were a 15-year-old girl home alone. It resulted in 6 arrests in less than 24 hours. 2 people traveled a 2-hour drive for the purpose of a home invasion and kidnapping, only to find the apartment filled with police officers. Okay, so that's just one of many things that we do. We arrested a pizza delivery man that, come to find out, he was there to sexually assault a child. With that said, some of the things that we have put in place as a constable's office, I didn't go over amounts recovered. I'll give you a little, this flash animation on this PowerPoint. I may have to go out of it. Here we go. These amounts recovered, all these are cases we've worked where we've recovered child pornography, whether it be images and videos, and the different color dots are going to give you a number. The green is over 2,000 images, okay? Purple, over 2 terabytes. anybody's familiar with technology, 2 terabytes could be hundreds and hundreds of thousands of images, okay, or videos. The blue pins, over 40 gigabytes of child pornography retained as evidence. So we've been busy. Some of the things that I put in place besides investigating these child crimes as a constable, we put in place a survey program where my supervisors are required to go out and survey their deputies' response to calls. Okay, they've got to do 3 a week. And they go out, whether it be a barking dog, a cat stuck in the tree, or a family disturbance, they're going to go out and they pick, and they go out and determine whether these people got the service they needed in law enforcement agency, if there was any follow-up that needed to be conducted, or how the overall experience was with our department. So we're happy about that. We put a victims assistance volunteer program in place that we follow up with victims of crimes, whether it be domestic related, whether your home is burglarized and you're a single mother or father and you need help, or whether you need shelter from somewhere. So we follow up with these calls. I don't want to be negative to law enforcement agencies, but there's a certain law enforcement agencies that just don't work accidents out here in Montgomery County. Okay? I don't agree with that, because a minor accident for me to show up on the scene is going to take me 15 to 20 minutes to work, and you're back down the road, or you're getting the help you need. And so we make sure that we're working accidents out there for you. We put together an interactive website where if you need extra patrol in your area, if there's suspicious activity, if you go on vacation, you can go onto our website. Most law enforcement agencies have a vacation watch program where you fill it out and you leave on vacation. Ours is a little different and a little better, because what happens is when my deputies go out and check your house while you're on vacation, they're going to get back in their patrol car, they're going to get on their computer, and they're going to let you know what you find, what they find, and however you set it up, whether you want a text message or an email alert, as soon as they hit enter, you're getting a text saying your house is all secure, or, we saw this, or something along that line. So when you're sitting on the beach drinking your Corona or whatever, you're getting a text like that. So there are a lot of things that we put in place over a year and a half that we've offered the community, where we want you all to know that we're here for each and every one. Our email addresses are on the website. I would very much like anybody who doesn't know me to come in and have coffee with me, talk about what we can do to make things different, talk about things that we can do to make things better, or just what you think about the constable's office. So please think about those things if you don't know who I am and want to get to know me. And you guys, I think that's really about it. This is where we can be found. That's our address, 1520 Lakefront Circle. We're on Facebook, and this is our website. One of the things, another thing that's important to me and the Tea Party and the conservative leaders out there is we operate on a $1.4 million budget a year. Okay, and most of that is salary for the 30 people plus, and that's not including the clerical personnel that I have. But out of that, I run on about a $60,000 a year operational budget. So when I got to buy an MDT for a patrol car, I'm out about $6,000 there. If we need a new bulletproof vest, if somebody's pants tear, or we need a monitor for one of the clerks, things like that. So we're very tight budgeted. We try and look at all different angles that we can, whether it be through contacts. We rely a lot on forfeiture money. So we're proactive in going out and taking drug dealers and things off the street where we can seize funds and monies. So we're working hard for you all out in the community. And I'm trying to really think what else. Does anybody have any questions for me? Yes, sir.
We see almost daily stories about local policing armory up, buying armored vehicles. What do you think about that?
I'm sorry, local police and what?
They buy armored vehicles.
Okay.
What do you think about
For us, we'd love to have armored vehicles, but,
that? Oh, why?
the protection of the police officers. I think when you send them out there, they're exposed to danger at all levels, and they're the ones that are going out and greeting the danger, and you want them to be safe.
But the idea is, what stops the policing agencies turn around and using those against us?
Yeah, I appreciate the question, and I don't think that if we had armored vehicles, that in a sense we would use them against our public. I'm elected to office, so the things that I do to the community I serve are going to result in me not being able to feed my family. So, as far as the government and government control and using those things against the public, that's not for me. So, yes, sir.
I think he's talking about the getting all these MRAPs back from Afghanistan, etc. The anti-mine
Exactly.
vehicles. They're basically armored cars, and they've been retrofitted, and they've been sending Homeland Security's been sending them out to police departments.
We participated in a program, it's the 1033 program in Harris County. We've asked to participate in it up here in Montgomery County. Other law enforcement agencies do. It's with the United States military. It's a surplus program to where you can obtain equipment if needed. The things that we obtained equipment for in Harris County were for rescue vehicles, flood type rescue equipment, stuff like that. And, I'd love to have the tools to have something like that if we needed them. Ma'am, you had your hand up back there.
Yeah, so I've been concerned for a long time about active shooter situations at campuses. And so I was wondering, what exactly is the plan that's in place to manage that? And do you guys have a position in that plan?
Yes. The training that we do, there's certain levels of training law enforcement goes through for active shooter, different type of, incidents. We as law enforcement, there's an alert program that most local law enforcement agencies are trained in to respond all together and know what each agency are going to do as a team in an active shooter situation. The bigger plan is a government plan that we're all required to stay with certain training hours every year and be compliant, and that's NIMS, which is a national incident management system. So as far as law enforcement as a whole goes, we have the requirement to be trained in certain types of programs that if we respond to an incident like that, we're all going to act and expect the same from each other and know what to do. So, yes, sir. Yes.
In the year and a half you've been on duty, what have you observed about the level of juvenile crime in our community, and are crimes getting more serious?
Juvenile crime, I don't think it's as bad as our narcotics crimes going on. The level of drugs on our streets out here in our precinct is huge. So as far as juveniles, we've got the random juvenile stuff we deal with. I haven't seen a large increase in violent crimes or burglaries and things like that. We live in a fairly safe community. It's the drugs that I'm concerned with. Yes, sir.
Yeah, in the paper now we're seeing a lot of urging of the sheriff's department being involved in some sort of a gang task force. It's because of incidents of people, I guess, coming in from Harris County and making quick hits into the Woodlands, etc., and then going back to Harris in relatively short order, and then more violent it seems, or more robbery than property crime. And my question to you is, have you seen the same incidents of it in terms of being close gang related or is it just random acts?
Bill, is what, they're holding these McDonald's robberies and things. They're claiming that there's a specific gang responsible for those related robberies. We put together a task force made up of us in the sheriff's office, and we worked a few weekends, 3 weekends here just recently, to target what we believe to be gang members without certain profiling in place, and robbers. And is it something that's coming? Is it something that's here? Yes. It's because of the living up here. It's affluent. It's where it's busy. The mall stays busy. People leave their cars, unattended. They're moving all around. We're easy targets. As far as officing the last 2 years before coming up here in the Greens Point area, having 20, 30 robberies a day, it's nothing like that. But, as far as, gangland up here in the Woodlands, not at all, okay? We need to put a quash on that rumor. Are there gang members that come up and commit the crimes? They probably belong to a gang. Is it a problem that we're faced with gangs moving up here? I don't really see that. We've got the robberies. They're hitting us left and right. We did arrest a woman that had 2 males with her. They had come from the Walmart here, and the woman was wanted on 2 robbery warrants out of Harris County, and one of the males during the interview said that he came up here to a Jack-in-the-Box to rob somebody, and that's what his plan was that evening, but it didn't happen. So it's random. Do I think it's going to keep picking up and continue to happen? Absolutely. It's coming. We don't have the law enforcement to combat it. We can try the best we can. For just me and my department, at any given time, I may have 2 district units on at a given time, and those are patrol deputies that can go anywhere in my precinct. So, we're thin on law enforcement in Montgomery County, and that's something that worries me as well. Yes, ma'am.
I had a question about is the precinct system and how the policing is organized. Because we've got more people coming in and because of the issues you're talking
Yes,
about,
ma'am.
is there a way that you can have smaller units that work only in a much smaller area, meets more people and so forth, or how would that be done?
You would need to put together people that are trained to identify them, and they would be hotspot units. Let's talk about that a little bit, because if you're going to put 2 people out there in a given area, they're going to work 8 hours, they're going to get off. So are you going to assign those 2 people to nights? Are you going to assign those 2 people to a power shift? You're not really getting a service with 2 police. So then maybe 4 police, but then maybe you get a day and a night, and then you got all the evening exposed. So it gets to a position where you try and allocate people in your department to handle areas that are hot areas. Up here, Sawdust Road is becoming a very hot area, so you allocate personnel the best you can to put in those areas. The Woodlands has a contract with the sheriff's office. They've got about 80 deputies assigned to the Woodlands, but they don't come out of the Woodlands. So their district personnel are limited. It's tough. It's something that we as a county really need to focus on when, for the growth we're expecting, law enforcement needs to keep up with that growth. I hope that answered your question. Kathy, you had a question.
Yeah, for one thing, I have 2 questions. The synthetic marijuana, one thing is, do the smoke shops around here, are they selling it? Because, kids have brain damage from that, it's crazy. I don't know if a lot of people know about that. And number 2, I was just at a function, they were talking about the cartel is hitting Montgomery County. And they're going into a lot of like hotel businesses and laundering money and starting businesses through here. What can you tell us about the cartel? Is the cartel hitting Montgomery County?
First question with the synthetic stuff. That's changing every day. We made a big arrest on some synthetic stuff here just 2 weeks ago that we really didn't know what we had until it was tested, and it came back to be some new synthetic drug that just been placed on the illegal list. So I think legislature's trying to keep up with all these synthetic different types of drugs that are hitting our streets every day. As far as the synthetic marijuana, you know, the big things that we see are regular marijuana. Meth is a huge thing out in our area. It's meth and marijuana that we're fighting every day. It's not really the synthetic drugs that we're really seeing. You know, our kids are carrying around Xanax and the painkillers and stuff like that, but it's more the regular marijuana and the meth that we're dealing with every day. The cartels. We really, as far as the constable's office, we hear about it. We hear that Carlton Woods has some. We hear the outskirts has some. We haven't really had any direct related crimes or issues with real cartel crimes that have come across my desk or into our office. So, you know, we feel like it's here. We feel like there's a question to certain members of our community on how they're living with the funding that they have. So it's questionable. But as far as actual cartel members and that really coming across or through our department, really hadn't happened. So we had one case, a gentleman that owned an oil company, lives in Carlton Woods, who got into business with another gentleman who, once the business, there was conflict there, claimed was a cartel member, and through investigation, FBI and Customs helped us out, Homeland Security, we're able to identify that he was possibly a cartel member. And so we don't really know the answer to that question, but we believe maybe they're amongst us. So, yes, sir, John.
Hey, Ryan, how does the law enforcement personnel numbers in Montgomery County compare to Harris County? And are our numbers appropriate?
That's kind of what I was asking to need.
When you put all the constable agencies, the whole sheriff's department, all the municipalities together for all of Montgomery County, the school police, you've got about 775 total boots on the ground, out keeping the county safe, okay? That's nothing. When you consider Harris County's got one of the largest sheriff's agencies in the U.S., the constable agencies are the largest. The constable agency I came from is bigger than the sheriff's department up here. So it's all budgetary, and the budgets are, you know, the constable agency we came from had a $36 million budget. So are we keeping up with the growth of this county and what's going to happen with us in crime as far as law enforcement? In my opinion, absolutely not. It's going to take us over, and we're going to be struggling to keep up. We already are.
So how far behind are we?
Want to help me out here, Matt?
Hey, guys.
This is my chief, Matt Rodriguez, guys. How far behind are we as far as law enforcement in Montgomery County?
Honestly, due to the projected growth within the county and the demographics change that's coming through the past census and what's bound to come very quickly with ExxonMobil coming and the several thousand homes, I would say that my personal opinion, without putting hard numbers on paper, I'd say another 50% increase in law enforcement across the board in the county would be to stave off the fight that we're already in of having to keep up, because they're not going to wait for us to say, okay, well, they need to hire some more guys before they start doing bad things, even more bad things.
I
So
can tell you that my department, minus our MAP units, that the commissioner's office and the previous constable were able to come together and get MAP units out on the streets. This department has not had a butt in a patrol car since 1997. So the
Montgomery County's grown by a couple of people since 1997,
So
yeah, just a few.
we were able to grow with the need you saw for child crimes, internet crimes. The county was able to give us one and saw the need for that. You know, I feel like when the question is raised, and something that was very important to Matt and I, being here and doing the right thing for you all in our community, is that if we were going to ask for something, we'd one, display the need, and two, we display the statistics as to what's happening and why it's important to have that position. The gangland and the positions that were requested, you know, I feel like there needed to be a demonstration done to chart robberies, violent crimes, things of that nature, all the way to injuries, you know, and display that to our community, display that to the commissioners to make the tough decision to spend the money on law enforcement. We will never go in and just ask for something. So those are the things that are important and really need to be presented and fed to the community so that we all know what we're dealing with.
Just to clarify, that 50% says not just our agency. I would say it's across the board. I know where I live up by 105 by the lake. I've talked to some SO deputies up there before who there may be for that whole district, maybe 2 and a supervisor on for that whole general area per shift for 8 hours. And if one gets on a arrest or something, now you're down to one guy protecting all those people, you know, and that's just not, it's across the board, not just our agency, across the board.
South County here has your majority of law enforcement. So we're you know, sitting well here in South County. And even with that said, there are calls that hold because there's no police that are able to respond to these calls and handle these things. So it's a reality. And it's something that, you know, the law enforcement up here, we are good, whether it be us or the sheriff's department. They're all working hard for the county. And the county has given them the tools. It's just there's not enough tools, there's not enough of them to do the job. And so that's something we really need to think about. Good. Anybody else?
I had one question too, that I haven't heard anything or seen anything in the newspaper about the cell phone robberies and stuff. That's very obviously gang related. And is there any kind of a training or for businesses to help protect themselves and, you know, not having to just come in and depart before anything else can be done?
Is what we have done within part of our precinct and certain strip centers that have been hit. We've talked to the business managers, the owners. We've talked about the things that we need to be relayed to us as law enforcement if something bad happens. You know, you talk about the banks and things of that nature.
Yeah,
we go into a bank, or we respond to a bank robbery, and we find out that it's the bank's policy not to hit the panic alarm until, you know, they've determined everybody's okay, or things of that nature. So it's, you know, these people are looking out for their liabilities, for their personnel and their own companies, and so there's delays there that we respond to, but it's all based on communication, sending it out to us. And yes, we have gone to retail shops, precinct, and talked to business owners and things about how you can help us and we can help you and things like that. As far as training goes, particular training, I'm not aware of any. It's just us getting out and knowing them. And
I can't believe they don't have all the banks in the area get together and come up with, have a training session, decide what's the best way to do it. That's stupid to have every individual business not cooperating like that.
you know, I think it's just like any other politician and stuff. You know, this is my stuff over here, and that's your stuff, and that mentality's really got to change. We all have to work together to do this thing, and that's what's important. So, yes, sir.
Did I hear you correctly a while ago when I thought I heard you say that any given time during the day you had 2 deputies that could respond to?
No, I may. That's a good day. that I may have 2 deputies on the street that are district officers that are able to go anywhere in the precinct.
Okay. And that's on a good
day.
day. Right? So you see.
So, and I'm talking about a shift, so.
Ryan,
Yes,
isn't
sir.
it responsibility of the constable office to serve papers first or anything else? That's where you really have to put your efforts versus on the street.
You know, it's a good question, and I don't think we would be best serving our community if that was the case. I think we handle that aspect of our job as experts. I don't think we could get more efficient in that aspect. So we're already covering that. I think we're,
I'm just saying that's your first responsibility. If you've got people you put out from there, that's what you're really charged with doing.
it is absolutely one of the legislative duties we're responsible for, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks, Steve. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I'm assuming everybody here is pro Second Amendment. If we're a good day, we have one officer on the street, and we've got this talk of cartels, and we have these isolated cases of people coming out of Harris County and targeting various places. You got banks that are not cooperating with each other. Shouldn't we be talking about protecting ourselves and people getting CHLs?
Yes, sir. I think so. My
Sure.
wife has a CHL.
So does mine.
So, you know, the robbers aren't usually gonna target us as cops.
Right.
And yes, it's very important that you all are aware of your surroundings, are vigilant, and taking the proper course of action of protecting yourselves and your homes. Absolutely.
It's a little disconcerting when you think about all the things we've been talking about, and we have, there's so little law enforcement to do what law enforcement does. And if we're not going to increase, somebody is going to have to protect themselves. And it's our freedom to be able to do that.
Right.
And you have certain groups running for governor right now, and others that are anti all this, on top of all that. I mean, it's almost mind-boggling when you think that.
I agree. You know, fortunately for this county, you've got a DA in place that is very aggressive, holds people accountable for the crimes they commit, which is a wonderful thing. You know, the judicial system's a great thing up here, so, yeah, that's good for law enforcement. When we put bad guys in jail, they stay. Unfortunately, the size of Montgomery County, the size of the jails and overcrowding and stuff like that, it works against us. So, you know, you're putting, you know, in other counties around us, as soon as we put a prisoner in jail, whether it be for a violent crime or not, we're still doing our paperwork when they're walking out the back door of the jail. And so you talk about disconcerting, and but absolutely, you guys, I have got to run. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to everyone tonight. I hope I gave you a little update on what the Constable's office has been doing for you and your community. And we're proud to be here, very much so. So thank y'all so much.